Hey everyone, welcome to our last Module 10 video. Today we are going to be talking about the eukaryotic cells. So on your note outline, this is where we left off, and so we are picking up right here with eukaryotic cells today. So letter A, characteristics, they make up all the other organisms that are within these four kingdoms. So you notice how all four of them are there. The only one that is missing is bacteria, or also known as the Monera kingdom. So we have protist, fungi, plantae, and animalia. So all other living organisms have these type of cells, eukaryotic cells. Now there are just a few of these organisms, mainly protists, that can actually be made of one eukaryotic cell. So then we would call those unicellular. And again, like I said, most of these are going to be protists, and there is just a few fungi. One of those would be yeast, that is made up of just one cell. But most of the other organisms that we look at is multicellular, which means that they have multiple eukaryotic cells. So you see some fungi, plants, and animals are all going to be multicellular eukaryotic organisms. Now, the list of organelles is very lengthy, so I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. And then I've also typed up a chart that looks similar to this that you can use for extra practice to get ready for your test after Easter break. So the nucleus holds the DNA, so it's the brain of the cell. The nuclear membrane, or also known as the nuclear envelope, is just the outer skin of the nucleus. The nucleolus is actually the inner part of the nucleus, and that nucleolus actually makes ribosomes, and ribosomes are really important when it comes to DNA. Ribosomes, they make proteins, so DNA can replicate, which means that if the DNA replicates, then cells can also replicate, meaning baby cells can be made. Mitochondria stores energy for the cell. Cell membrane, we know, is just the protective skin of the cell. Animal cells only have one layer of protection, while bacteria cells, we learned, has 3 layers of protection. Okay, so it just depends on the organism. The rough endoplasmic reticulum and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, they are right beside each other, and they are both near the nucleus. The rough endoplasmic reticulum looks very bumpy, and that's because it has ribosomes that are actually sitting on the outside of it. And those ribosomes will make proteins before they get sent to other parts of the cell. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum does not have ribosomes on the outside of it, so it's very smooth in appearance. And they make fats, also known as lipids. So it's a very slick, moisture type organelle as well. So those fats and lipids, they can get sent to other parts of the cell. It just depends on what the cell needs at that time. The Golgi apparatus, also known as the Golgi complex or the Golgi body, sorts these proteins and sends them to the correct destination. You can think of this kind of like the post office, how all the mail ends up in one place, and then the mailmen deliver it to different places. So the Golgi apparatus takes all the proteins and then delivers them to where they need to go. Cytoplasm is the material inside the cell that holds everything together. So that's the gooey stuff, kind of like the blood of the cell. Cytoskeleton, there's 2 pieces to it. There's centrioles, and then there's microtubules. And there's even this third type called microfilament, but you don't need to get into the details of that quite yet. Cytoskeleton is what gives the cell its 3D structure, so it's not flat. Lysosome is kind of like the stomach of the cell, so it stores waste of the cell. And notice how it's mainly in animal cells only. Vacuole stores water for the cell, and those are going to be mainly in plant cells. Chloroplasts are also in plant cells, and this is what allows the plant cell to do photosynthesis. So chloroplasts actually appear to be green in color. So anytime you get grass stains on your pants, that is actually chloroplast that is all over your pants, which is kind of neat to think about. Next on the chart is cell wall. Okay, and cell walls, that is that extra layer of protection that we were talking about. Plants, fungi have these, and then also, of course, bacteria. It's the extra layer of protection, and it's the outermost layer on these two types of organisms. Cilia is what protists would have mainly, and cilia is kind of like little eyelashes that's on the outside of the cell, so it can help the cell sense what is around it, or it can also even help it move through its surroundings. It just depends on what the need is at that time. Flagella is the tail that is used for swimming, and these are going to be found mainly on protists and some animal cells. And then right here is a picture. Keep in mind this is a eukaryotic animal cell, so notice how it is round in shape. And I marked off some stuff that you don't need. This is getting a little bit too detailed for 6th grade. So if you would please mark these off as well on your notes. You do not need this organelle. And then right here, microtubules, you need to also just write in parentheses that it is cytoskeleton. It's just a form of cytoskeleton. And same with centrioles. Centrioles is also a form of cytoskeleton. And for the most part, your cells are going to look like this in structure because we are animals. So you have your lysosomes here, your Golgi vesicle or Golgi apparatus. Those kind of go together. You could even cross out Golgi vesicles if you wanted to. You don't have to know the details of that. But the Golgi apparatus is this little squiggly stuff right here. The rough endoplasmic reticulum is the part that has this bumpy outer layer here, and that bumpy outer layer is made of ribosomes, and it's over here on the side as well. And then the smooth part is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. And then you have the cell membrane, that is the layer of protection. Ribosomes kind of just float all over the place, and they're also on the outside of the rough endoplasmic reticulum. And then right here you have microtubules. They kind of even look like bones or skeleton, if you will. Right here are centrioles. Centrioles are also part of the cytoskeleton. And then the nucleus is this inner circle right here that holds the DNA. And then the nucleolus is this super inner circle that makes the ribosomes. And then, of course, the nuclear membrane or the nuclear envelope would just be the outer layer of the nucleus. And then the mitochondria. So notice how there's little like shelves inside of it. Those shelves are actually folds of the mitochondria, and those folds are used to store energy. So some of you may have shelves in your closet or in your garage. Those shelves are to store more things. So these mitochondria organelles also have shelves for storage of energy. And I think that's it for the animal cell. So I'm going to quickly flip over here to the plant cell. Notice how the plant cell has more of a pointy shape to it. Some of the pictures you may see is like a rectangular shape. Notice how they're green in color. And I've crossed out quite a bit of stuff on the plant cell picture. So you can cross out this peroxisome, the lysosome, the vesicle down here, the plasmodesmata, I can't really read that, and then the nuclear pore. We don't need those, and then the rest of them we have just talked about with the chart. And that will conclude the note part. So I'm going to try my best to go ahead and move on to the study guide so we can keep this all in one video. So right here on your study guide, we had already talked about the Animalia section, I believe. I hope. I can't honestly remember. Let me just go over that just in case. And I'll wait for that to... Okay. So the Animalia section, if an organism is not a single-cell prokaryotic cell, not a single-celled eukaryotic cell, not a form of algae, not a fungus, and not a plant, then what type of organism is it? Well, the only one that they don't mention is the animal cell. So it has to be an animal. What kingdom is the largest and most diverse? That is the Animalia kingdom. It has the most unique organisms in it. 34. Are all organisms in kingdom Animalia visible with the naked eye? If not, give an example of a microscopic animal. So unfortunately, not all of them are visible with the naked eye. If you remember from the last video, the Cyclops actually is microscopic. So you could say no, Cyclops. Okay, and then that leads us to the cell organelle section. So right here, 35, what quality of the nucleus allows it to be in charge of all cell processes? The nucleus holds the most important pieces, which would be DNA. So that is why we consider it to be the brain of the cell. And then right here, 36, which organism has cell walls? Plants have cell walls. Now there are other organisms that have cell walls, but plants is just kind of the most popular one. And then again, which one does not? Animals do not have cell walls. And again, there's other organisms that don't, but animals is most popular. 37, what is the function of the mitochondria? It stores energy for the cell. 38, what three cell organelles are different between plant and animal cells? So plant cells is what I'm talking about. Plant cells have these three things, and animal cells do not. So plant cells have a cell wall, they have chloroplast, and they have one large vacuole to store as much water as possible. 39, do prokaryotes have ribosomes? Yes. Why do they need them? Because they have DNA. So their DNA can still be copied to make new cells. So anything that has DNA is also going to have ribosomes. Number 40, what is the only living thing on earth that is made of a prokaryote cell? Bacteria. 41, what is the function of the contractile vacuole? So if you remember, the contractile vacuole can be in some of the protists. They can also be in algae or fungi even. And it allows the water that is needed to go in and out. So however much water that organism needs, the contractile vacuole can kind of control that water intake and output. 42, describe the cilia, flagella, and pseudopods in terms of movement for the cell. So on your test, I believe it is worded locomotion. So all three of these things are used for locomotion, which is just another name for movement. So the flagella is used for swimming. The cilia is used for crawling. And then the pseudopods, I put rolling/jiggling because they are fake feet that kind of just allow the organism to sort of jiggle or roll along the surface. It doesn't really walk per se, but it can roll or jiggle to different places. So that will conclude the last of the study guide section. Feel free to pause this video and write this stuff down as you need to, and I will see you guys next time.